Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We've got the Car Pro Jerry Reynolds on the line. Jerry, how's it going?
Good, fellas. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing well so far.
Jerry Reynolds, good morning, and I'm so glad you're going to talk about the Chevy Suburban today, which is my all-time favorite vehicle, hands down. I have owned a dozen of them. And let me tell you.
I grew up in Suburbans. That's all my parents drove for years.
Well, let me tell you a quick story. Let me tell you how old I am. When we had our baby, we frequently went back to New Mexico to visit the folks, and I bought a Suburban, and we laid down the back seats and set the baby's playpen back there, and the baby would play with her. She would play with her toys and sleep. It was a perfect situation. You know, babies don't travel well in a seat, and today I'm sure I would go to jail for doing such a thing.
Yes,
but
you
back then we didn't give it a thought. But the Suburban, we pulled a boat 1,000,000 miles in it, an RV. They're spectacular vehicles. Anyway, I had to get that out. It's my all-time favorite vehicle.
Well, when I think back on the Suburbans that my folks used to have, and I look at today's Suburban, holy cow, I could have never envisioned this thing evolving to what this 2021 is right now. It's bigger than last year. The last change in Suburban before this one was back in 2015, if you recall. And they got inherently nicer in 2015, but this one takes it to a new level. And I tell you, this is one of those vehicles where the biggest change they made, you cannot see, but you feel, and that's in the rear suspension. They went to an independent rear suspension, which they should have done years ago, frankly. Ford did it. They went to an independent back around 2018, and you could feel a noticeable difference in the ride quality, in how bouncy it was. Now for 2021, with this new Suburban, it's got that suspension. And the byproduct of that is that they were able to lower the floor because they weren't working around that big solid axle that sat back there for so many years. So when you lower the floor, that gives you more headroom. And I'll tell you, in the third row seat of this Suburban, two over 6 foot tall adults could sit back there and be very, very comfortable. They thought of everything. Now the one that I'm driving is the high country version, which is the top of the line. It's got the big 6.2 liter V8. Last week when I had the Tahoe, it had 5.3, which was okay in the Tahoe. But this Suburban probably going to need the 6.2 to make it move. It'll tow 8,300 pounds. I sent you guys a picture of the interior.
Yeah, it's nice.
This vehicle. Here's what's astounding about it. And I guess I'm just one of those people who gets enamored with really different, cool things. But if you look at that center console between the front seats, it's really big, and it's electric. It slides back toward the rear of the vehicle with the push of a button, and it slides back about a little over a foot. So what happens? So you put at the back of the console, this is so hard to do for radio, sorry, but at the back of the console there's two cup holders, so you can slide that console back and put the cup holders in between your second row occupants. But what's really cool is when you do that, there's storage under there. You can put valuables, you can put guns, you can put a purse down there and close that console up, and it's completely secure because you can't open the console without the key.
That's nice.
So it's almost one of those things you got to see, but it just tells you a lot about what the thought that they put into this vehicle.
Yeah, well, that's neat.
Seats
Jerry,
are
let me ask.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Because, again, I'm an oldie, and I come from the days of 327 Chevy engines, 490 Fords, 454 Chevy engines. How does the 454 used to be the biggest engine that you could get in a Suburban, and I guess the biggest engine that Chevy made back years ago. How does that relate to a 6.9 liter engine now, or a 5.2?
Well, the 6.2, when you talk about that, you're talking about cylinder displacement, the size. This thing's running 420 horses. What's amazing is you start talking 454s back in the 70s, they weren't breaking 300 horses.
Yeah, technology has changed all that, hasn't it?
It has. But the other thing was that 454 with, I believe it was 290 horses, but there were no pollution controls to choke it down.
Right.
And 9 miles a gallon.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different world, of course, today. But
so now what you're saying is this the cylinder displacement doesn't mean as much as it used to.
No, it does not. But this thing will get up and go even with the weight of this Suburban, which is just north of 6,000 pounds. So it's going to take some power to do it. Fuel economy, I'm averaging in town and on the highway around 15, which, isn't great mileage, but you don't expect great mileage out of a vehicle this size.
No.
But it's just the turning radius is so good. It's such an easier drive with the Suburban, especially when you're in town and you're trying to get into those parking places or you need to make that U-turn. This thing is really a joy. Huge panoramic moonroof, rear DVDs. Well, actually, that's not true. It's got a rear entertainment system with 2 huge screens mounted on the back of the headrest from the front seat, and you can run those. They operate separately. You can run them off your computer. You can plug in your computer, and whatever's on your computer will be on that screen. You can use a Fire Stick to watch a movie. Big Bose sound system that's just fantastic. I have not found anything I didn't like about this Suburban.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: I'm going to give the big reveal. You've got it at $84,000, and I believe that the Chevy Tahoe last week was in the low 60s range. So what is it just the length that makes the difference? The engine of that $25,000?
Yeah, it's the engine. It's the amount of cargo space behind the third row seat. There's 43 cubic feet of cargo area behind the third row seat. So, if you don't need all that cargo area, the Tahoe would do you just fine. But if you do need it, if you're carrying 6 or 7 people
or
and
a 70-pound dog.
Yeah, and a big dog. Or,
That's what we have the problem with, is that 70-pound dog wants to go everywhere we go.
I understand. And you could put him back there, a lot of luggage. If you're towing something, this thing would really do a good job with it. And the one I have is, I failed to mention, but it is 4-wheel drive at that $84,000 mark. But I'll tell you something. Today, being north of $80,000 with a big 3-row SUV is just common.
Yeah, that's normal. It was actually a surprise last week when my producer saying that the Tahoe was 68, but it was actually a surprise that you had the Tahoe under 70 at that price.
Yeah, this Suburban when I get the Escalade, the new Escalade, at some point in the future, it's equipped like this one. It's going to top $100,000, no question.
Yeah.
And then the Yukon, the sister to the Suburban, it's gonna come in, probably $5,000 to $6,000 more than this one. That's just the way they've been priced in the past. But look at an Expedition, look at a Lincoln Navigator, look at an Infiniti QX56, look at a Toyota Sequoia. You're going to find those prices to be very, very much in line.
Yeah.
Hey,
all right.
Jerry,
well, what?
It's running late. We gotta run. What's up in
Car
Pro
before?
USA?
What do you have on your website?
I did a market update because of everything going on and with Corona and how it affects car business. People might want to look at that. I give you the outlook for inventory between now and the end of the year, used car prices, what's going on with those, et cetera. And then just for fun, I've got an article about how to cook a turkey on your engine's manifold while you're driving to see Grandma. You got to take a look at that.
We don't want to do
Will
that.
it cook it all the way through?
Yeah, it will.
Wow.
Yes, it will.
All right.
I got the whole recipe there.
All right, Jerry, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again, not next week, but the week after, because we won't be here on Thanksgiving.
No, but I'll be with you on Saturday.
Oh, that's right, Saturday 11 to 1.
And the next one also. I'll be there after Thanksgiving.
So you'll have both of them covered. All right, well,
yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Jerry. You have a great day.
Take care, guys.
All right, we'll be right back on News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM, KFYO.